Hi, everybody. I'm Nancy Bauman. I am known as the book professor because I give everyday people just the courage to tell your truth and the tools you need to write a nonfiction book that will either save lives, change lives, or transform society. And I am also the owner and head of Bookarma.net, which is an international book marketing platform where authors help other authors market their books globally through shared social networks. So I'm sitting here in St. Louis, Missouri, just absolutely loving technology because Robin Cutler, who is our guest today, is having, I think, a little bit of trouble logging in. So I'm going to go over, hang on for just a second, and see if she's in. I know she was trying to log in, and I'm just not sure exactly what the status of that is. And of course, we have totally, did a rehearsal on this and everything. So sometimes we just get little glitches here. So if you could bear with us just for a second, I'm going to see if it's possible to, maybe if she's in on the phone, to try to unmute her, but I don't see her yet. So anyway, she'll be here shortly because she's pretty consistent. So anyway, I want to tell you that I'm really excited to have you here today. We are having these weekly webcasts, and thank you, Sherry, for sending her a message. You see your messages above, yeah. We have these weekly webcasts because as an executive book coach and as the owner of a book marketing platform, I think it's really, really important for you who are authors to know just everything that you can about what's going on in the industry. And so my history with Robin, and of course she'll be talking a lot more about IngramSpark, but IngramSpark is a division of the Ingram companies. And I got familiar with Robin, I guess it was about a year ago, last May in 2014 at BEA, Book Expo America. I met her there. I was there having a booth about Bookarma, and she was there representing IngramSpark, so we visited a little bit there. Then I saw her again in October in Germany at the Frankfurt Book Fair, and then most recently we were on the faculty at the PubSense Author Summit, which shout out to Sherry Stout, and her company is Where Writers Win, another excellent resource for writers. But, we got together again at the conference, and I asked her to come be a guest to talk about IngramSpark to you, because IngramSpark, okay, can hear you. Okay, so let me see. I just got a message from Robin that says she's on the phone and that I should be able to unmute her. Let me see. I don't know. I don't see her name. I'm going to assume this is you. Okay, I'm Robin. I cannot. The webcast is set in listen only mode, so I can't unmute you, I don't think. Okay, try now, Robin. Are you there?
Hey, Nancy.
Oh, good. Okay, so we're going to have Robin via phone. But as I was saying, we connect.
If you can figure out how to open up the video for me too, then I can turn it on.
Yeah, you just have to turn your camera on, at the top of the screen.
Yeah,
Okay, well, we'll just proceed this way then. So.
Okay. Okay.
So anyway, Robin and I got reconnected, I think it was in March at the PubSense Author Summit, which I highly recommend that to you. And if you're not going to author conferences and you're writing, you're missing a whole fabulous world of gaining insight into other things that are available to you in the industry. Things change a lot, and there are all sorts of new providers and new services that you can take advantage of that can help you shortcut, one of the processes in writing, whatever it might be. So Robin and I got reconnected again in March at the PubSense Author Summit. So I talked about, asked her to be a guest on our webcast, which I really appreciate, Robin. Thank you very much. She is a very in-demand and busy lady. I mean, it's like every time I call over there, oh, I'm sorry, she's in London, or oh, she's at this conference or that. So Robin is on the move, right?
Yeah, pretty much so. It seems that way, at least.
Yeah, so can you tell us...
Yeah.
I was going to say, can you tell us a little bit about your background? Because you didn't start out at IngramSpark. So what is your pedigree, so to say?
So I started in publishing about 100 years ago.
Hardly.
It seems like now. But I started as a book designer at a university press, at the University of South Carolina Press specifically. And then and was there for a number of years, became the marketing director, the assistant director, and then ended up starting my own little small publishing company and had that for a number of years. And then I went into university administration for a while. I was at the University of Wisconsin for a number of years. And then my mother, who was back in Charleston, South Carolina, got old on me, and I needed to sort of move back and sort of be there for her. And at that time, Amazon had just purchased this company called BookSearch, which was a print-on-demand sort of upstart and new technology. And so I was like one of the first employees that Amazon hired after that acquisition. And so I was part of the team that rebranded that into CreateSpace. So I was at CreateSpace and worked for Amazon for some 6 years. And then my husband got transferred to Nashville. We moved to the Nashville area. Ingram found out that I had relocated there, and then kind of recruited me to Ingram. And so I've been at Ingram now for the past 3 years, and you know, had the team that launched Spark about 2 years ago. So really excited about the work we're doing with Spark.
Well, I'd say it's never a dull moment because you keep launching and launching and launching. And, you know, honestly, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty impressive background with, you know, starting, you know, helping start Amazon CreateSpace. And I know you still have a good relationship with those folks. So we're never in the position that we want to disparage CreateSpace or Amazon because they do a really good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But they do a really.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's a great service. I'm really proud of the work that I did there. You know, Amazon is a great customer of Ingram as well.
Oh, sure.
So, you know, and they're vital. I think between Ingram and Amazon, if you need to make your book available, those are absolutely the two best platforms to make your titles available.
Well, the thing that really excites me about IngramSpark is that I own a small press, and so I have long used Lightning Source for my publishing, and you know, a lot of companies have started up that can do print on demand, but I think that that's the least important part of it. I think that this power of the Ingram network for the distribution is something that, as authors, that we really can't be successful without that behind us. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit about what the idea behind IngramSpark is versus Lightning Source, or maybe to even start with, we should kind of give a big picture to our listeners about what is Ingram and why is it such a big deal, because it is a powerhouse in the industry.
Oh, that's really great, Nancy. So yeah, Ingram has been around for about 50 years now. It's a family-owned business. It's owned by the Ingram family outside of Nashville, Tennessee. And it has evolved now into the largest wholesale distributor of books in the world. And part of the network that Ingram supports is some 39,000 retail and library partners. And when I say 39,000, to give you the breadth of that, Amazon is only one of those 39,000. So, to make your book available on, within the Ingram catalog, and then, so that all of those retail partners have access to it is really quite phenomenal. Ingram also started, and you mentioned Lightning Source. Ingram also started this print-on-demand company, and now it's 19 years old. It's hard to believe that technology has been around that long. But started Lightning Source, which is Ingram's print-on-demand company, and it now has evolved into the state-of-the-art technology for print-on-demand in the world as well, and it's a global service. So if you make your book available either through Lightning Source or even IngramSpark, and the difference is not any, so that your book on IngramSpark also has all of Lightning Source behind it. It's the same service, whether you set up a Lightning Source account or you set up a Spark account. You have the exact same choices and information that's available to you, technology.
So how do you differentiate the two then? What's the difference between Lightning Source and IngramSpark?
Well, so customers like yourself and even smaller one-book publishers, had always kind of found their way through to Lightning Source, but it was never really designed for them. It was really designed for the larger publishers. So a lot of people had just frustration in setting up a Lightning Source account and then working within the platform itself. So what we did was we took the Lightning Source technology and married that with our ebook distribution platform that probably people are less familiar with, called CoreSource. So we married those two technologies together, and then on top of that, we layered a easier-to-use interface specifically designed for independent publishers. So that's what IngramSpark is.
So to me, it sounds like you have really brought that power of the Ingram network down to the individual level, so that independent publishers or self-publishers can take advantage of that, and then have all the I call it jet fuel of the Ingram network behind them, because you can put things on other platforms, but one of the things that I love about Ingram is that we get into catalogs that they see from libraries, and libraries are hard to get visibility. It's hard to get in front of those purchasing agents for libraries. And I believe, I've heard, you could probably confirm this, that libraries are the biggest purchasers of books. Maybe, that might be disputed, but there's certainly a robust market there. And
to make your book, to get your book into the Ingram catalog, as you've mentioned, is no small thing, and it's extremely powerful and really almost a requirement if you think your book is one that both booksellers and librarians would be interested in, because they are going to say, when you pitch your book to them and say, I'd like you to carry my book in your store or stock it in the library, the first thing they're going to say is, where can I get it? And if you can say,
Ingram.
It's available from Ingram, it kind of removes a huge problem for them.
Yeah.
And so that they can order your book along with, orders for Random House titles directly from Ingram.
Right. And I can't tell you what a thrill it is when you Google your book and you find it's in Japan and in Australia and all, it's just a lot of these online places, they pick it up, and that's, that can't happen without the kind of distribution network that you have. So that's really a thrill. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how it works? What is, distribution to independent publishers? We talked about it being, did you say 29,000 retailers and libraries?
39,000.
39,000. Okay. So obviously, if we want people to know about our books and to purchase it, it has to be available, right? So that's the first step. So there are some differences between you all and Amazon CreateSpace, and I know that you and I have talked about it. So can you kind of talk about the whole ISBN, the need for an ISBN on IngramSpark?
Yeah. So I'm so happy you brought this up, Nancy. I'm a big proponent of people, writers, authors, publishers that want to make their content available. That say, first of all, invest in an ISBN for that book. And then that ISBN will, last the lifetime of the book and identifies that book along with, the publisher of the content. If you, a lot of people, and there's some services out there that offer free ISBNs, and CreateSpace is one of them. If you elect to go with a free ISBN through someone else's service, then that ISBN is always identified with that service provider and not necessarily the content creator or owner of the content.
And this is, I think, Robin, this is something that authors don't really realize. They just know they need an ISBN, but what they don't realize is the first few numbers are tied to the publisher, so to speak. So if you get an Amazon ISBN, you're always tied to Amazon, right? And that's, I think, what you're saying, or versus maybe a publishing company or your own, whatever you set up on your own.
Yeah, and that might be fine, at some point, but if your book takes off and you want to do more with it, that's going to be limiting to you. For instance, if your book is identified as a CreateSpace title, anywhere on the internet, anywhere where a bookstore would go to try to purchase it, they are not going to be incentivized. Amazon is a direct competitor to independent bookstores. Right. So, authors need to realize that. So they're not going to be as welcoming of your book as you would hope they would be. If it's set up through IngramSpark under your own ISBN, it's going to be listed, as whatever, if you're a self-publisher, however you set your publishing business to be as far as an imprint, it's going to be listed under that imprint and be available in the IngramSpark and Ingram catalog, just like a Random House published book would be.
Right.
So and then they're going to, they're more likely to order it for the stores, stock it, whatever. But anyway, it's just something really important. I think it's an investment. I mean, you work so hard to create your book.
Oh, yes.
Don't go cheap, on something as important as the ISBN. You will need an ISBN for every format of the book. So a hardcover, would have one ISBN. The paperback version would have a different ISBN. The ebook would have an even different ISBN.
Right. So every different format.
In the U.S., you can go to Bowker, Bowker, and purchase like a block of ISBNs. Or even within CreateSpace and in IngramSpark, you can purchase an ISBN, and in both platforms, we're just acting as a distributor of ISBNs, just like if you were directly at Bowker.
Right.
So you can purchase your ISBN in both platforms as well.
Well, the other thing I would say about a difference between IngramSpark and Amazon is that, like, you can just get what they call an ASIN at CreateSpace, and for those of us in the industry, your ISBN is kind of like the low bar of entry, into the publishing world. So I would definitely just reiterate what Robin said. And on Bookarma, because we're an international book marketing platform where we use your ISBN to import all of your book information onto the platform so that other authors can share your book out around the world to their followers. And if you don't have an ISBN, you can't be on the platform. So I really like that. And here we have Sherry over here telling us that there's a summer sale at Bowker, for a batch of ISBNs. Just a jump on that, because, like you said, if you have hard copy and soft copy and ebook, they each need to have their own ISBN. So
and let me answer this question from Charlene. She says, do you use a different ISBN for Spark than the one used for CreateSpace? No.
Mm-hmm.
What you do is you set up the same your same digital files, print files, in both platforms with the same ISBN. The platforms live happily side by side. There's no conflict. The only issue would be if you elect CreateSpace's expanded distribution, that actually will put the book into the Ingram catalog as a CreateSpace title. So that's not advantageous to you. So I would suggest that you don't elect CreateSpace's expanded distribution. You set up your book with the same files, with the same ISBN in both platforms.
Well, let's.
That will do.
I was going to say, let's talk. I'm going to jump in here for a second. Let's talk about this a little bit because, people are probably thinking, or I know I was thinking that, oh, well, I've got it uploaded. I used IngramSpark for my platform, and I uploaded it and distributed it. And now you're talking about doing it through Amazon too. And I just want to kind of comment on that and why that's a good approach. I know that Amazon is, they are, a behemoth, and they are, like things to be proprietary. And I started noticing that the books that I had distributed through Lightning Source, when I saw them on Amazon, while you do distribute to Amazon, when they came from Ingram, they kind of were frequently marked as back ordered, so it was like people couldn't one click buy them and that type of thing. And books are kind of an impulse purchase a lot of times. So can you talk a little bit about the strategy, Robin, of uploading to both CreateSpace and IngramSpark?
So because, as you've mentioned, because CreateSpace is an Amazon company, by uploading your paperback version in both platforms, and especially on CreateSpace, it will ensure that your availability on the Amazon stays in stock. And that's really important on the Amazon platform, obviously. So it kind of buys you insurance for that thing that you said about availability. And so what will happen is, even though we are also distributing to Amazon, sometimes, like during the busy season, the holiday season, Amazon will also buy, your titles from us, even though the book is also listed on CreateSpace. It's wherever they can get the book the quickest and get it out to their customers. So again, I think it's advantageous to set up in both platforms with your paperback. I think it's best to set up in IngramSpark first, and then use the same ISBN in both platforms too.
And then when you set it up on CreateSpace, you do not select expanded distribution because you're already in the Ingram catalog.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The disadvantage to expanded distribution is it will show up in the Ingram catalog as CreateSpace. It will. It also will show up as non-returnable and with what we call a short discount. In IngramSpark, you can set up a range of discounts between 30 and 55% that you want to offer retailers. And you can also set up 3 different versions of returnability. So you have a lot more flexibility in terms of how your book is listed for our retail and library partners.
Okay, so let's say somebody's still writing their book. What can you walk us through the process of getting their book, published through IngramSpark?
So currently, we do require, just like in Lightning Source, that you've already hopefully edited your book professionally. You've had it designed professionally, and you have digital files that will work in our system. And we have a file creation guide that's available under the Help tab on IngramSpark that if you're working with a designer, you want to make sure that they are reviewing that file creation guide. And once you have your digital files, you just add a new book to your IngramSpark account and walk through the screens of the metadata, which is the book information that we ask you for. And at the end of those screens, there's an upload screen where you actually upload your digital file. Now, we actually validate the files on the screen, and we'll let you know if there are any technical issues with them. But hopefully there won't be, and they kind of just slide through, and then usually a couple of days later, your book's available. You'll get an e-proof of the book. We also encourage you to order one print copy to review it before you turn it on for distribution.
Right. And I would say that that's really important because, an e-proof is great, and you have it on your screen and stuff. It's pretty exciting to see that. But there's nothing like holding it in your hands to make those little things jump out that you're like, wait, I didn't mean that, And so
yeah, exactly.
And so that's such a beauty of the whole digital publishing is that we can change our files. And I know that another thing that I suggest with my clients who I coach through the writing process is that as they get more endorsements for their book and more, book blurbs, etc., we can just keep, adding that to the book and uploading a new file. So it kind of keeps things current and all, but it also relieves you from that panic, like, oh no, 8 other people were supposed to send me something and I haven't gotten it yet, because we could hold off over and over again, on actually releasing a book and you could end up never doing it, because you're waiting for it to be perfect. Now there's a charge for that to upload your file again, but it works great. And I know more than a few people that have realized that they had some issues with their book, that they hadn't seen until they actually saw it in print. And so it's almost like insurance against mistakes, because we can just change things on the fly. So I've always appreciated it.
That's kind of the argument in support of using print on demand. You can go and you can print 2,000 copies because your unit cost, it looks so great and you're so sure you're going to sell 2,000 copies. And then, like you say, what if you find an error? Yeah. Or what if you get this great endorsement? You're kind of stuck.
Yeah. And not only that, it's the inventory and carrying costs, the initial investment that you have to make. I love that they're printed when they're sold. So, it's just really ingenious. It's just such an advantage. And I know people who know me know I've been on my soapbox for a long time that I'm just like, thank God for print on demand, because the traditional publishers used to be the gatekeepers of ideas. They decided what people could read and learn and etc. And so now we have this fabulous technology. And as Hope Clark says, when you win an award for your book, you can put the medallion on the cover and, keep it's like adding jewelry to your outfit. You can just keep dressing it up. So thanks for that comment.
Yeah. And writers need to understand that a book typically has a fairly long lifespan. So don't think that when you print, that's the beginning and end all. That's the start of it.
It is.
You don't really know where that book's going to take you. Hopefully, it will take you into another book, and but you don't know at the beginning. You really don't even really know what the demand of your book is before you published previously. So I can't say enough about print on demand and the value.
Well, so now talk to us a little bit about, this is another thing that I love about what your platform does, is the ordering process. Like when I want to order books for myself, say I'm speaking somewhere and I want to give books away or something like that. How is that different from bookstores or libraries ordering?
So those are what we call publisher direct orders. And when your book is set up and available through IngramSpark, you can place exactly what you're talking about. You can place an order. We'll ship it wherever you want us to ship it. And in that case, we're just acting as your printer. So there's no discounting that's attached. You're just paying the print cost. On IngramSpark, there's a tab that says cost and revenue. You scroll down that page, there's a calculator tool, and you can really go in, you can put in the size of your book, how many copies you think you would order, and, we will give you, like, the printing and the shipping cost, so you have a really good idea of that, like, way in advance.
Well, and I also love, which is great, because you get your own books at the cost, for printing, so it's not it's not the retail price. But the other thing I love about it is that, we've done book launches and people have done pre-orders and those kind of things, which is always a great idea, is let people pre-order your book. When the book's available and ready, I can just go in to the platform and put in their name and address, and you guys ship it, because to me, hell on earth is thinking about sitting in my basement and putting books in boxes and loading up my car and going to the post office and all that kind of thing. And so you make it easy.
Oh, and it's expensive. I mean, you have to invest in packaging and envelopes. You don't think about that.
And
so
labels.
Actually do
it's labels and time. And wouldn't you rather be writing a book than shipping books? Of course you would.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything that people should know, Robin, about how to be prepared? I mean, you talked about, the editing. You're expecting people to come to you with a polished product. And so when you say that you do the kind of health checks as they're uploading it, that's strictly the file format. You have nothing to do with the content or the
that's right.
cover design.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's like the old, I grew up in high-tech jobs, and it was like garbage in, garbage out. It's they're not there to give you feedback on it. They're just there to see if your file format is right, so that it can go through their system. So I know several of us on the call are very I would say intent on helping authors understand you can't have a professional product unless you work with professionals. And one of the things that I think separates people who are really serious about it and all is to really get professionals in the mix. Now, I'm a book coach, and I help people with the writing part. And believe it or not, writing is a real art. I mean, not everybody can do it. And I work with people writing nonfiction, so most of my clients aren't really writers, they're livers, they just have, something that they want to communicate and share with others. But even if you're the best writer in the world, like Hope Clark or Sherry Stout, every great writer has a kick-ass editor, so you can't skip that step. You really want to pay attention and invest, as you had said earlier, Robin, on in the book product itself, in the content, and in the cover and the interior design, etc. So how do you make money? How does IngramSpark make money? Because we're all happy about getting our books at our cost, etc. So how does that work?
So we do charge a setup fee of $49, and the best way to do it is to set up both your book for print, for POD, and also as an ebook, and it costs $49. If you want to set up just a print book, it's $49. If you want to just set up an ebook, it's actually $25. So that's one way we make our money, and then through distribution. So for every book that's sold through Ingram's distribution channel, we get a little cut of that.
Yeah.
And with all the millions of books that we sell, obviously, that's the biggest part of our business. And that's really where we're focusing on, where our revenue comes in through distribution. Somewhat, a little bit on printing, but really through distribution is our core business and what we want, where we want to make our money. So the better the book is, the more likely it is to sell through distribution. And so, That's why, it's really important on the front end to invest in the editing, invest in the design. Don't invest in inventory. That, to me, is kind of foolish.
Right.
And spend your money wisely on the front end. Get your book, just as you said, Nancy, as polished, as perfect. I mean, you've worked so hard. Don't cheapen it on the front end.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then one other thing I wanted to, that you could talk to about being prepared to, upload their book and stuff. Talk about pricing a little bit, because there's a list price and discounts and all. And so what do authors need to think about when they're setting prices?
So I actually encourage people to go, before you publish, really form a relationship. If you're lucky enough to have an independent bookstore in your community, even a Barnes & Noble, or a chain store, form a relationship with these professionals that actually sell books. And see where, go into a store, see where your book would live in a bookstore. See something similar, how it's priced. Even use Amazon for looking at, something similar to how the books are priced on the site. So do your research in pricing. And then also, as far as these independent bookstores and booksellers, let them get to know you. Let them know that, what you're doing. Become a customer of the store. Become a patron of the library. And then, when you're ready to, launch your book, then they're going to be really receptive to your book and you as the, owner of that work and helping you launch that book. So I can't say enough about, really forming those relationships. They're really important.
And what about discounts? Because I know that we have to set discounts, right?
Yeah. So on a print book, as far as you have the option of setting a discount anywhere between 30 and 55%. And the reason we set the minimum at 30 is because Barnes & Noble won't even list your book in their catalog for less than that. Amazon's starting to get a little stricter and are less likely to list your book in their catalog. So 30 is the minimum. The actual wholesale trade discount that most publishers set a book for are anywhere between 45 and 55%.
Right, and that's the amount they pay. That you give them a discount, and then they can sell it for list price. Yeah,
so it incentivizes the store. I mean, the store's not going to sell your book for nothing. They have to, that they are, doing that transaction, making that book available to their customers. So you have to expect that, you need to offer a discount so that they can make some money.
Right.
So the discount is set, and it depends on what the relationship is with the bookseller and Ingram. How much the bookstore gets and how much of that Ingram gets. But that's where we make our money.
We had one other question from Vicki. She asked if you could speak to the ebook process about file conversion, your ebook versus Kindle format.
So, and that's great. Thank you so much, Vicki. So, on the ebook side, we have the broadest distribution, just like on the print side. We distribute to about 70 different online retailers: the Big Four, Amazon Kindle, Apple iBook, Barnes & Noble Nook, and Kobo are the Big Four. And then there's a bunch of little ones that, like Diesel has, an online store that we distribute to. So once your book is available through IngramSpark, when you're first setting up your account, and a lot of people do go direct to Kindle, and I don't discourage that. That's where you're going to make the majority of your ebook income. And then you can have us, upload everywhere else if you want, or we can distribute to Kindle too if you want us to be a one-stop. So you would upload your book, we make it available to all these retailers, and then pay you 40% of the list price of the book for every ebook sale that we do. So the brilliance of what IngramSpark is with ebooks is it's the broadest, distribution, and we can, if you want to upload directly to Kindle, that's fine. If you want to upload directly to Apple, you can. That's fine too. But if you really want us to be a one-stop, then and for a lot of people, that's really what they want.
Well, and I like that you include Kobo in there, because in other countries, and we had the opportunity to, kind of rub shoulders with Mark Lefevre from Kobo at, again, the PubSense Author Summit. But, when we go around saying Kindle in our country, in Canada and Australia, they say Kobo, so that's a market, in a certain platform that we just would overlook if we didn't know that it was a big deal in other countries. So, the great thing about book distribution and pretty much technology around the world now is that there's no boundaries, and so, but we have to make sure that we're in the right place. So I like that you're distributing to Kobo as well, because they have quite an extensive.
Indie authors go hand in hand with indie retailers, and that includes indie online retailer like Kobo. So I think we should all sort of join arm in arm and march forward all as the indie movement.
Well, it is a movement, that's for sure. That's a good word for it. And we are really, really fortunate to have these tools at hand and have other people that can usher us through the process, because they've really brought the whole publishing cycle down to the level where independent authors can be heard. They can have a voice in our international conversation. So, Robin, I really want to thank you so much for your time this morning. I'm sorry we couldn't see your pretty face, because mine is frozen on the screen. Mine's been frozen on the screen for a while. But I do appreciate everything, that you've offered to us, and especially your time, because I know you're a very busy woman, and I just really like working with IngramSpark. You guys are really good people and have done a lot for authors, and so we thank you for that.
Well, thank you for your kind remarks.
Okay, Robin, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.